All right, question. Have you ever been with somebody that's had a couple drinks and a different person shows up, a completely different side of their character? That, my friends, is the subconscious mind. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly why trauma takes charge and what the subconscious mind actually is and how it dictates our everyday behavior and how we react to most things. And it's not us reacting, but our subconscious mind. However, the best part of this video is that after you know about the subconscious mind, you're going to be able to sort of compartmentalize it and understand it a bit better so it doesn't take control and charge of your life. You remove this bubble so you can see what's going on under here. All right. So now look, here's the surface. You see, this is an iceberg, that thing the Titanic bumped into. What we reveal and our conscious mind, okay? You see, it's right, tip of the iceberg is what we see. It's what everybody sees. It's what's on show. This is the conscious mind. However, you'll see that there's layers below this, deeper, darker layers below this, that is what's actually at the root of this whole thing. We don't react, our subconscious does. What does that mean? Now, have you ever been somewhere, or maybe you've reacted to something without even thinking? The fact that we can react to things without thinking says that it isn't us reacting to it. It's something way deeper that is like an automatic response. That automatic response and reaction is not our conscious mind, but our subconscious mind. You may have heard of the stages of like fight, flight, and freeze when something like traumatic happens and we go into one of these three stages. That is all in our subconscious mind. And we're going to go through this on a deeper level. Number two, the subconscious never forgets. Everything that takes place, everything that we perceive on a day-to-day basis, all of the traumas that unfold from childhood to adulthood to elderhood to teenagehood, all of these hoods, right? The subconscious never forgets. And third of all, 95%. 95%. This ain't me. No, I didn't write this. Statistics said this. 95% of brain activity happens in the subconscious. Those deeper levels of the mind that we haven't yet really discovered and understand until today. So without further ado, let's crack on. Before we get through like how and the why and all that stuff, right? What we need to know is the mechanics. Now look, another illustration. It's like a puppet. Imagine someone's being pulled, right? By strings, invisible strings in this case. In this picture, you see the strings. However, in reality, we can't see this string. The subconscious mind, you can't actually see the strings, how it's pulling us and making us do certain things. It's invisible strings. So let's understand the mechanics of what's actually going on back here. First of all, you have to understand this about the subconscious mind. And this part fascinated me, blew me away. I read this in a book called Cybernetics by Max Maxwell or Matt Maxwell, something like that. Incredible book. I recommend it. Go read it. Great stuff. But the nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real and an imagined experience. Now, what that means is, have you ever heard about like visualization in sports before? Like athletes and stuff, they all sit there, and someone who does this really well is actually Jake Paul. He's sick at this, but you'll see that he like sat there in the ring. This guy, he's a YouTuber and he's knocked out like MMA fighters. He's nuts, right? But he sat there in the ring, and you see it on like this documentary. You should watch it. And he sits there, and he's got this coach that gets him to visualize how he's gonna do it, what he's gonna do, the ring entrance, absolutely every single part of that day, what shoes he's gonna wear, how he's gonna breathe, his clothes, everything gets to visualize it. And then the actual punch that's going to land, you'll see somebody else that is fantastic at this is Conor McGregor. Now he does some other stuff. He's a bit of a mad nutcase, but this is, just take this as an example. And they use this thing called visualization. Why? Back to the point. Because visualization is is sending signals to the nervous system that this thing is going to happen and preparing the nervous system to do it. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. It's deep. So the nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience of something that's actually happened and something that we've deeply visualized and experienced in our mind already. This is where manifestation and all that stuff comes from. This, right? Next one is, most beliefs come from trauma. You probably heard a belief like men are trash, something like that. Now, anybody that says men are trash has had a previously bad experience with men, either directly or indirectly through a family member or something like that. They've had a negative experience with a man, which has then led them to believing that men are trash. However, the downside to these sort of beliefs is that beliefs want to manifest and become real. So what happens after that? If you are somebody that believes we'll just say in this case, if you are somebody that believes the opposite sex are trash, now what's going to happen is you are then going to encounter and experience negative experiences with the other sex because you believe they are. And belief systems don't just want to stay. Belief systems want to become real, and they look for ways to become real. So you will see every trash part of a person and then say they are trash. Beliefs come from trauma. Now that point there, that they come from trauma, it's not necessarily just us, our experiences, but maybe a parent has gone through something and then has passed that down to you, and now you believe it, but you don't even know why you believe it. It's just someone gave it to you. All of these beliefs come from trauma. All negative beliefs come from trauma. And then the last one is we don't make decisions, our trauma does. As I said, based on these belief systems, our trauma makes the decision about this thing. However, this is where we have to go even deeper and understand these traumas so then we can start to change them and make different decisions. But we're not there yet. We're here. All right. That's the third point. So this is just how the subconscious mind operates, right? It can't tell the difference between a real and an imagined experience. So that's where you get visualization from. And then most beliefs come from trauma. Truth is, if you think about any negative belief you have about a group of people, maybe like an activity, any negative belief that you have, it comes from we have either had a direct or an indirect traumatic experience from that thing. If it's indirect, somebody basically told us, parent, friend, whatever. If it's direct, it's something that we've experienced for ourselves. And then the third one is we don't actually make decisions. Our trauma takes over and makes decisions for us. So, for example, in that situation, fight, flight, or freeze, if you're in a mad situation, you won't make that decision. You'll either run away, you either freeze, or you'll fight. All right. However, there is something deeper to this where we can start to alter perception of trauma so then we can alter our decisions. That sounds quite like deep and mysterious, but we're going to get onto it. Now, look, practically, it feels like we sort of breeze through all of this, but practically, this is a practical guide in exactly how to become sort of in touch and understand your personal subconscious mind a little bit deeper so that it doesn't take control and charge of your life and in charge of all of your decisions. The negative side to the subconscious mind is that it gets us to do things and we don't even realize we're doing it. Now, look, guys, if you see, maybe you know somebody that covers their face in makeup every single day, can't even leave the house without makeup because they've had a negative experience with an insecurity, and now their subconscious mind is taking over and saying that they have to do this in order to be accepted. Or maybe you've got somebody that, and I'll be honest about one that I had, right, is when I was younger, I was like quite out of shape and all this stuff, and I got picked on a little bit in primary school and stuff. And I went to a swimming pool. This is actually a real story. I went to a swimming pool with a t-shirt on. And I got in the swimming pool with the t-shirt on, and people was asking me, of course, like, why have you got a t-shirt on? What are you doing, bruv? And I made up this excuse, and I said, I've got like acne on my back, and I can't expose it to water. Like the t-shirt was going to protect me. But anyways, people sort of sucked it up and believed it. But it was a complete lie. But the reason why I had to tell that lie, I believed I had to tell that lie, is because I had a deep traumatic experience around my weight. And this, you can extend this out into anything and everything. Our deep traumatic experiences on things shape exactly how we behave, right? On such a deep level that we don't even know and realize why we're doing it. As I said about the girl covered in makeup, the guy that's got the baggy t-shirt on and doesn't want to show any of his body because he's insecure about it. Guys, this is real stuff, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know I've come across with a little bit of banter and stuff, but this is real stuff, and we can't sugarcoat it. We have to understand it on a deeper level, understand why we do what we do, and then doing it makes more sense. But we're not puppets, right, on a string. But the unfortunate reality is most of us can be puppets on strings, invisible strings being dictated to and dictated around, and not even knowing why we do certain things, but we just do it, right? Now, this is a practical guide. If maybe I've spoken to one of them, maybe directly something that you've experienced, or maybe your one's different, right? Here's a practical guide. This guide works for all of them, to understand them better, deeper, so that you can start to fix them and start to change them so that your trauma isn't in charge of you. Number one, label your patterns and write them down. We have patterns in our life. We have things that we repeatedly do on a day-to-day basis. As I said, The subconscious makes these decisions and we do things and we don't actually recognize what we're doing. However, what we need to do is, this is a practical step, right? Tomorrow, watch something that you do, become aware of something that you do, and ask yourself why you do it. Why do you do that thing? Label a pattern. That might be why you react a certain way in a conversation. That might be why do you keep feeling this certain feeling. That might be there's something that keeps popping up, right? A problem maybe that keeps popping up. I want you to label a pattern and write it down. This obviously I'm going to say journaling. I love journaling. Anyone that's been here long enough knows journaling is one of the best things you can possibly do, because journaling allows you to be in touch with your subconscious mind, what's actually going on behind the layer, right? Next one is unload a pattern. So this happens like step by step. You see how I've done it. Unload a pattern to one person. Now, brothers, man them, we won't go into why. Do this with a close brother. Don't do this with no one else. Go find a close brother and unload a pattern to them and tell them what this pattern is and deeply explain it to them, so that they can hold you accountable. This is basically like standing in a dark room and just turning the light on. Now somebody can see. Now you can see. Cool. Here it is, basically. Now when I walk forward, I'm not going to walk into this thing, but I'm going to walk around it and understand it a bit better. And then the next one, as I said, following on from that illustration and example of turning the light on, is confess everything to God. Now, look, I don't know what you believe in, right? Me personally, I believe in God. Confess absolutely everything. Now, look, he's up there. He already knows what's going on. He already knows that dirty thing you done in the morning. Or he knows, do you know what I'm saying, when you go to the toilet, whatever you're doing. Yeah. He knows all this stuff. We're not confessing it to tell God, to like let him know. Look, God, I done this, by the way. I'm not sure if you saw, but nah, that's not what we're doing. The reason why we confess everything to God is because the mere fact we can release something and articulate it and bring it to the surface is a step, is literally that one step in taking control of our subconscious mind. It's simply, as I said, is shining a light on it. When we can shine a light on things, ultimately it helps us not to bump into it, because we keep bumping into the same things all the time. These patterns, our subconscious mind. Shine a light on it and we'll stop running into it. And we can start to walk around it, right? Now, these are a couple sort of practical tips that have helped me massively over the last couple of years. As I said, guys, look, this is a big one for me, especially. I make these videos almost speaking to myself. I'm gonna watch this back and be like, all right, mate, yeah, I'll do what you say. Yeah. Because as I said, I've had many traumas over the years sort of dictate the way the way I sort of behave, react to things I shouldn't be reacting to. Do things and when you just do things that you don't even realize why you're doing it. A lot of that comes from our subconscious mind. Now, look, our subconscious mind ain't all bad, right? We need to do things. However, what we need to be is in touch with what we're doing and why we're doing it. And if we can do those two things, you're gonna have a fantastic experience of your subconscious mind on the most part. However, guys and girls, maybe there's some gallum here. But yeah, it's been a good one. And until the next one, but I've got some new style of stuff coming soon. Blessings and love. I'll see you in a bit.